Hello everybody and welcome to this furniture design tutorial in which I'm going to show you how we can build this parametric chair model in Shapr3D. We will actually in this exercise start by looking at building the individual sketches all we need first by actually blocking out the leg height, the seating surface depth, and then the backrest height, create angles. And then we take that sketch and add the material thicknesses, add more sketches so we can build the individual parts, because the idea of this model is that we then can take elements and move them around and completely adjust actually our chair model. Look at that. No, it's pretty cool. Okay, perfect. With all that said, let's do it. In the starter file, let's make sure snapping is all on. Inches is the unit system, and let's go to the front view, move this down. The first thing what we want to do is talk about the proportion of a chair. So let's go to sketch, use the line tool, and somewhere on the ground, click on the x-axis, drag a line up 16 inches. And let's go straight up. Very good. Then to the left, 16 inches horizontally, click, and we go straight up 16 inches and escape. I will turn on always show dimensions, because what I would like to point out here is that I'm currently working actually with a chair that has a backrest height, the seat surface width and length, and from the bottom to the top 16 inches of a height of its chair. Now, if we take a look at this, we have a lot of creative play now. So the legs, the front legs, we can make vertical. This 90-degree here between the backrest and the seating surface might have been something they did in the Middle Ages when we lived in castles, but this is not very comfortable. So we would like this to go a little bit back. Not too much, because then it's a lounge chair, but we set this to 95. So we give this 5 degree of rotation. That's actually not bad. The seating surface doesn't have to be horizontal. It can also be a little bit angled. Let's go by 85, so 5 degrees. No? So it looks actually quite nice. And then the only thing that is missing is actually the back leg. From this point here, I draw a line straight down. And here what is important is this line can be behind the backrest, but don't make it too far. It shouldn't really right below your hip, or worse, actually in front of your hip, because if you would sit down and lean backwards, you would fall backwards. We can, for example, say this can be roughly under the edge of the backrest, like there. Okay, very good. Good. So now this is kind of like the proportion or skeleton of a pretty normal, comfortable looking chair, where the seating surface is a little bit rotated. Because this is all parametric, we can also go ahead and say, maybe change this a little bit. There. No? So when you sit down, you feel you're sliding backwards a little bit. Or we can go back to 8.5. Okay, very good. We have actually now everything in place to build our first piece. This point I moved to the origin, so actually everything starts from this point growing to the left side. So how do we actually turn this now into a nice sketch? Okay, so what we can do is the following. I can select this line and then go to offset and offset 1.5 inches off a material. There we are. Then I can select this line and offset this also 1.5 to the left. Very good. And then instantly here I go in and clean this up a little bit. I will go to the trim command, remove all these lines here I remove. Very good. And I want to make sure that these lines are all parallel. There we are. Very good. This actually should be 1.5, and this distance here is also 1.5. Cool. Okay. This is the leg. So I'm continue drawing a line here. So you see this is parallel. So these two are tangent. Okay, goody. I could also actually, if I want to, now since I know this, go ahead and from here draw a line. Watch this. These two should be parallel. These two should be 1.5. And then you see this point, I can move up, snap onto it. This is actually a cleaner drawing. Okay, very good. Now the question is, what do we do with this element here? I will bring this one over, snap it to there. So now I have the backrest and the leg. So these two I can select and actually offset. Also 1.5, very good. I make sure that all this is parallel because I have to move elements around a little bit. We can cap the top. How do we do the bottom? Check this out. I draw a long horizontal line, and then this one, now you have to be careful. Along the guideline, I extend this. Okay. And then I can go ahead and trim that rest off. Very good. I was able to rotate this. So hue and hue should be 1.5. Okay. And you should also be 1.5. Perfect. So there now you see how this updates. Pretty cool. Okay, nice. If we want, we can draw here a line as a helper and then say this line is a construction and is vertical. Cool. Okay. We do have actually a lot of the building blocks we need. So, the next thing we now actually can do is the following. We can select this, let's say this, and then I extrude those by 1.5. Where you see this actually makes one solid piece. That is okay if we want to have this, or I can select the individual pieces 1.5 and then here these two 1.5. So they are individual. Okay, perfect. The next step needs all this to be moved over to, let's say, the left side, or actually this is lining up with the x-axis, so I bring this over by 8 inches. There, very good. And then all this, for the moment, I can mirror over. There we are. So the distance actually between these two lines now should be 16 inches. It is. Okay, perfect. Very nice. Good. So how do we fix or patch in actually some of the missing elements? So we can turn our sketch back on and, oh, I don't want to make a new sketch. Nope. I want to go back to the original sketch I have. And then here I draw a line upwards, close this area, and this now I extrude to there, and then say, make this symmetrical. Okay, perfect. Now there you see how I'm having actually kind of like starting building a frame. Good. This edge is not really that beautiful, so let's round this one a little bit. If we do it this way, from the side we can see okay, but then what do we do with here? So we would look into how could this look actually when we round this one to bring this back in. Is this something we want? Yeah, this is actually interesting. So I will undo these two fillets, select these two parts, hide them, and then I will fillet this by, so let's say 12 inches. Very good. Okay. When those are filleted 12 inches and the distance here is 1.5 inch, that means these can be 12 inches minus the distance 1.5 inches. There. So now these are perfectly parallel because the outer radius to the inner radius, the difference is actually the distance. Cool. Okay. Here a very quick cleanup. There we make a replace. This is going to be a little bit more of a complicated construction because we need to cut actually these curved surfaces, but actually it also makes it look a little bit more interesting. There we are. Cool. The thing that's left is maybe to look into the sealing surface and then also the backrest, because currently we would actually simply fall, backwards. Let's work with the sealing surface. I click on this top surface. The reason why I don't go left and right, because when I now say sketch, it's nicely kind of like centered. And now I can say here to there, and escape from here to there and escape. And then I use the spline tool. No, actually I use the arc, click, click, bring this to here, there, very good. And maybe all these bodies I put into one folder, so it's gone. And then this one I can move up, let's say by 1 inch. So now we are actually at a height difference of, that was 16, 1 inch, so 17 inches, by the way. This one here is rotated compared to this one. That's not what I want. To make this even, the surface we want to replace to the surface we want to replace by, and replace surface. Flop there. Super easy. Cool. Okay, beautiful. The backrest. The easiest way here is to, we can actually select one of these faces. Actually, no, just one face. Go sketch. You see it centered on this one. And now I will select the arc and go from there to there and backwards and from there to there. Do we go the same radius or make this a little bit smaller? Now it's up to you to decide. Play with it. There we are. Beautiful. And then this we can simply extrude down. It will look like it's following actually this edge because this sketch surface was planar to that surface. So we don't have to worry about it. It will perfectly line up. Well, maybe this one here would change a little bit. No, that's actually how easy it is to patch this one in. Cool. Okay, very nice. These bodies, not the sketch, all into one folder, all this into one folder, so we can separate everything nicely. And there we are. Actually, let's do a little test. So what happens when we go to the sketch and we set this to 88? Oh, look at that. You see like how everything updated. That's pretty cool. Go to this folder, turn it on. 84. No, we have to be careful with the fillet. It's actually also 64. Oh, wrong number. I see. Here I did not have actually an an angle specified. So here to make this clean, let's say 166. Um, maybe this one here I remove there and there. 166. That will move this a little bit. And now we go 86. No, not 68. 82. There you see how now this actually moves. This actually now has to go over. We can hide this or actually delete this, move this around, and look actually how beautiful this design actually updates. That's a nice thing actually of the parametric engine. Even here, now you see the wood joinery, everything, because it's projected back onto that surface, everything there fits. Little bit of touch-ups. I think maybe one of the last elements to do is, so this edge and this edge, I want to be exactly equal. So when I select one point, the other point moves with it. So I can move this one to there. So we can see actually a little bit of this flat element, which is quite nice. And because this is arced, our hip doesn't fall through that hole. Maybe this arc can be a little bit smaller. There we are. Beautiful. Some of the last steps maybe to do is add some extra edge roundings like this. Or maybe we can round this a little bit. If this should be an upholstered part there. And we can also round these edges further. Very often also when this is an upholstered piece, to make actually everything look better, then these faces are actually extended. So the edge rounding then covers actually the overhang, etc. But since this is just only a first piece, we can keep it this way. And I noticed now here an interesting issue with the sketch. So it changed actually something. So this is nice to see. So let's take a look at where the problem is. Because this actually should have gone directly straight down. And the answer to that problem is actually very simple. If I move this one up and down, now there we can see how the backrest rotates. And here, there, that line is not perpendicular to this line. We make this perpendicular, and that then actually fixes the issue. I have to be, in my case here, careful with the radius. So moving everything around a little bit changed the degrees. So there we are. So now actually everything should be constrained enough that this is indeed actually a stable sketch. Yeah, so I would say that way it looks. Perfect. Now we can go to the Viso mode, take a look at a nice material. Let's go to, let's say, wood. Where do we have kind of like a cheap wood to work with? Let's say here, the pine material. Put this onto the folder or there. There we are. That's not a, let's go with oak. That will look nicer. And maybe adjust the scale a little bit. There. Perfect. So you see here the veneer very often goes correctly. Here this goes vertical, and if we don't want that, we can select actually, let's say, this whole body, and then we need to figure out which axis it is we need to play with. There it is, 90 degrees. Okay, very good. Beautiful. put this into a nice environment, change the rotation, maybe add some backdrop color. And there is actually our first wooden chair we built out of a very basic sketch, which we then defined so we can interactively adjust everything. And then we built the individual pieces and created a perfectly parametric chair model. Very good.